Hey there, Scott Paradis here. I'm still working on my money project, and I wanted to talk to you today specifically about the concept of freedom. Freedom is not what most people think it is. Most people, when they think of freedom, it is doing what I want, when I want, where I want, with whomever I want, without regard for consequences. No consequences. This is absolute freedom. Isn't that great? I can go where I want, do what I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want. That is absolute freedom. The challenge is we forget about the consequences. We forget about the consequences. This is what people think freedom is. And it's usually my freedom, not your freedom. Because my freedom ends where your freedom begins. So, what is it about freedom? This idea of doing what I want, when I want, where I want, with whomever I want is not how life works. Actions have consequences. Actions have consequences, consequences that we must deal with. Freedom is not absolute. Freedom, however, this idea of freedom, what we think of doing what I want, when I want, where I want, with whomever I want, without regard to consequences, we say, if I could just control the environment, control the circumstances, control others. If only my dog would do what I want them to do. If only my kids would respond like I want them to respond. If only my spouse, my co-workers, my colleagues, my bosses, if only all the people around me would do what I know is best, then I would have control of this situation and I will have absolute freedom. People equate freedom with control. That's how I'll get freedom, is by controlling everything. It's really an outcome of fear. But we'll come back to that. Freedom, genuine freedom, always comes with responsibility. You cannot have one without the other. They are a matched set, a pair. Freedom is the flip side of the coin of responsibility. Remember, actions have consequences. Actions have consequences, and those consequences are what we are responsible for. We must deal with those consequences. So, what does all of this have to do with the games that we play? Specifically, the money game that I've been talking about. Actions have consequences. We're all playing the money game. If you're not a player, you're probably prey. We are all playing the money game. Primarily, now remember, the money game is completely made up. It's a bright idea that we came up with on how to engage with each other. We're all playing this game. It is called the money game. There are two primary strategies or versions of the money game. There is the making game. This is where we collaborate, we create, and we contribute. This is how wealth is created. This is how we all benefit. People connect, collaborate, and create real value, then share that real value with other people. That is the making game. That is the real economy. That is Main Street. That's what most people think of when they think of the money game, the real economy. However, there is another version of play that is going on in the money game. The second version is a taking game. Think back to survival circumstances. Survival circumstances is a taking game. It's a dog eat dog, kill or be killed environment. Human beings as foragers, as hunter-gatherers, had to respond to predators or someone else who might take what they needed to survive. It was a taking game. However, society evolved. We evolved and we recognized we'd be better off collaborating and creating together. So we established an economy, what we recognize today as civilization. However, that wasn't good enough for everyone. There are still some people who want strive, aspire to absolute freedom. Absolute freedom. And their way to get there was by establishing control. Well, how do you gain control? Well, historically, we gain control through the use of force, through violence. Look at our history. For 10,000 years, this is a cycle that has repeated itself. It's always about force and violence. Conquer the other so that I can have control and I can have freedom. Well, we again have evolved, but this has been a very creative evolution. We don't have to use force and violence anymore. We've created the make game, and then we've empowered money. So money can be the tool. Money substitutes for force and violence in the taking game. The taking game is a power accumulation game. Deceit, deception, anything goes. You can see it characterized by Wall Street and the speculation in the money trust. This is what goes on in the taking game. It is a very different version of the money game, or a way to play the money game. But how does this relate back to freedom? Freedom is not control. Freedom is not control. But that's what we want. We want absolute freedom. The only way we think we can get absolute freedom is by imposing control on other people. So I'm going to play the taking game to take everything that I can, to control everything that I can. And in that way, I will be free. That is not freedom. Freedom always comes with responsibility. Actions have consequences. Actions have consequences, and we deal with those consequences of the money game, of how we play. We can play a collaborative, creative making game where we create real wealth and we share that wealth and we all prosper. Or we can play the competitive, cutthroat, winner take all taking game where I can control and subdue my competition. Now, not everyone prospers there. What happens is a few win at the expense of many. But it's a strategy. It's a strategy many people are pursuing. But what game are you playing? What does this have to do with freedom? Ultimately, freedom is accepting the consequences. Accepting how you are going to play the game. We're all playing the game. We are all playing the money game. Are you playing a making game? Will you collaborate, create value, and share that value with others so we all can prosper? Are you playing a taking game? A taking game of deceit, deception, power tactics to subdue and suppress your competition, beat your competition, so that you can achieve mastery, ultimate control, freedom. That freedom is an illusion. Freedom always comes with responsibility. Look, you can play a making game. You can play a taking game. Just understand, both have consequences. Actions have consequences. The key to achieve real freedom is to accept those consequences. What do you think? Let me know what you think. This is part of the message that I'm trying to weave into the money game. I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to your comments and then seeing you again soon.